I said, hey, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. I said, hey, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. We're gonna drink a fine whiskey and smoke a really fine cigar.
It is time for Happy Hour. It is the Man Cave Happy Hour. Whiskey, cigars, spirits, and stories that go along with it. I'm Jamie Flanagan.
I am Matt Fox.
Matt Fox.
Jamie Flanagan.
I am not wearing anywhere near enough velour for what we're going to be talking about today.
That's beautiful. What is that? Velvet?
That is. I could drape myself in velvet. I tell you. Coming up on the show today, we are going to be sporting some tracksuits, and we're going to be drinking some cider. It's two of my favorite things in the world.
Tracksuits and cider?
Absolutely, it is.
I don't see why it shouldn't be.
It is, without a doubt. But before we do that, just want to thank people for hanging out and do all those podcasty things that you do when you listen to
subscribe, collect, do what you have to do to
all those
get a
things,
notification that we're
and
live.
then tell 10 of your friends.
And then they'll tell friends.
That is all you got to do. Tell 10 friends, and then just...
Isn't that how sales go?
Yeah.
Because if you take care of somebody, they'll tell 10 friends that you did that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll get more into that.
But there's always, Matt, you and I, we love to party. We love DJing. People invite us to party, and we've had the honor of helping out and DJing at some pretty cool parties.
We really have.
Down in Hamtramck.
Yes.
At one spot in particular.
Oh, gosh. What's it called? Whiskey in the Jar.
Whiskey in the Jar. And coming up this year, it's don't call it a comeback.
Hey.
It's Tracksuit 8.
8 times.
Should be 10.
Should be 10.
We lost 2 because of the pandemic, but
right. So
yeah, we're on 8.
So we got to welcome back August.
Hi guys.
Hey, there we are.
How are ya?
Welcome into the
and
once again into the Man Cave.
And Conrad and Mikey do appreciate you guys taking the reins at those parties. I think you did one with Gnip, right?
Yes,
that was the first time I met you guys when the legendary Greg Gnip brought you in.
Yep.
And then he started being your own men, your own DJs, bringing you in on individually. And so it's been a great relationship. We love having you guys. So.
But, August, you've been on the show with us a few times.
I've guest hosted.
Yes, you have.
I tried to fill your shoes once and failed miserably, but I had a great time.
You actually was like, man, he's
so
much better at that than I am.
Matt was out of town. He's like messaging me. He's like, do I get to come back? And I'm like, we're not sure.
But August, I cannot thank you for all of what you've brought into the Man Cave, and you actually have somebody with you yourself this evening.
Proud sponsor of Tracksuit 8.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have Bacardi as a sponsor, sponsor, and then Mikey built that relationship. And then one day we're fortunate enough to have this fellow over here wander into the bar about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, that's about right.
All right, so Mike Didio from Blake's, and he kind of fell in love with us, and we fell in love with him. So,
Mike, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour.
Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Mike, I want to hear about, because we got some new Blakes we're going to try. We're going to find out more about Tracksuit 8, where the money's going, why it's going, where it's going. We're going to find out all about that. But before we do any of that, Mike, tell me about your childhood.
Oh man!
In true Man Cave fashion, here we go.
Right,
you should have listened.
Right, I didn't have enough time to listen to you guys. So my childhood was good, I guess.
Did you grow up in the area?
So
here,
actually, I mean, I grew up in Richmond, Michigan, the neighboring town of Armada. Grew up, not necessarily liking Armada very much.
Romeo, Richmond, Armada. Is that kind of how it goes?
Yeah, pretty much.
So
New Baltimore's in there somewhere.
We're all, it's just a bunch of little towns kind of surrounded by each other. So
going up Gratiot.
Yeah, right. There you go. Yeah,
just going up Gratiot.
Growing up Gratiot.
Yeah, I mean, but really cool to be able to work for a company based out of Armada. I grew up going to the orchard, and now I get to sell our adult beverages that we make there.
Well, a lot of people have a lot of memories of Blake's Cider Mill. Mm-hmm. I remember Blake's Cider Mill. And then I started drinking, and then Blake's decided to join me later. But so what brought you into the spirits industry?
Honestly, it was chance. It's something that I kind of always wanted to do. I've been in sales and account management for since I was about 20 years old, and noticed when Blake started, they were looking for somebody to kind of just promote their products at festivals and events and do some tastings, around Metro Detroit. And Andrew, our founder, was nice enough to bring me along for about 9 months, and I think he liked me enough to keep me on full time.
Awesome.
And I started managing, the state of Michigan, and now I help, manage basically half of our territory.
So when you say manage the state of Michigan, was it just the sales folks out there? Or?
Well, me managing it by myself. There was no other sales folks in Michigan back in the day. Yeah, I did that for about 2.5 years, and then obviously as we started to grow, we started to hire some more people, and now I actually do manage, our regional sales managers in about 16 states throughout our footprint. So
My goodness.
Yeah.
And you guys are not stopping. There's no end in sight for you guys.
no, not until we take over the cider world, which we're
So
getting
you're
closer
well
and
on your way.
closer. So yes, definitely well on our way.
That's
And
fantastic.
so Blake's has been around, looking at the side of the box there, 1946. Have they
Yep.
been doing hard ciders
No.
since then? Okay.
No.
So
So-
that's what I thought. I thought it was like
Yeah.
a, not, I
Yep.
mean, not newer. I mean, it's been
Sure.
around for a while, but it's 1946. How long have they been doing
So
the ciders?
We are currently in our ninth year.
Okay.
Next year will be our 10th year anniversary. So
All right.
within those 9 years, we've grown to almost 20 states. We'll
Okay.
be in about 23, 25 by the end of 2022, and like you said, no sign of stopping, which is great.
That's
Um,
amazing.
So I was an early adopter then. If it's been 9 years,
Well, and you're in the state of Michigan,
Yeah,
so folks
yeah.
that are outside the state, what are some of the things that you're doing to get folks to recognize Blake's when
So,
you're not in Michigan?
Good. That's a great question. Really for us, it's telling our story. I think people enjoy hearing that story.
Mm-hmm.
We're an independent, family-owned orchard. That had this idea to make hard cider. An old traditional American beverage that was made, pre-prohibition, and it kind of just went away. And we had the idea to bring the craft industry to that cider, and just being able to tell folks that we do it the right way. We're using 100% apple juice, and I think we do a really good job of picking flavors that consumers want.
Right. Where do you source your apples from? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So many apples.
So, and that's a question because Michigan is a pretty ferocious state. We're in the middle of launching spring here. People
Yep.
listen whenever, wherever, however.
Yeah.
But we're like at the beginning of March, end of March here, and we just
snowed
had a
this morning.
super frost.
Yeah.
But it was 60 like 5 days ago, and there's some buds
So we're
in our
We're
yard.
close. We're lucky because our orchard being downstate
Yeah.
doesn't get affected by the early warmth as much.
Okay.
That's fair.
When we're worried about it is when it frosts in April.
Yeah.
And we're getting close to that. So
Yeah.
hopefully this last week of cold and really cold nights is going to be it. And
for the danger zone.
and it was a tough Michigan year for apples last year,
Yeah.
which is not fun. So
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're supplying 20 states, that's a lot of apples. Are you guys able to produce enough to keep
yeah.
to keep squeezing?
Yeah, I mean, we use all Michigan apple juice right now,
Okay.
which is great. As we kind of expand out, we're looking into some options throughout the entire country where we could still feel comfortable doing the right thing and potentially using juice from other parts of the country.
Sure.
But for now, it's all Michigan apples, which
That
is great.
I love it. So ciders used to be, because I'm an Irish boy and it's just drinking the Guinness and then the ciders. But the ciders that used to be available, you had your Chucks and your Peckers, and the Peckers were around first. And then
Strongbow.
Then the
There was
Chucks
always
came.
Strongbow around.
Well, over on the island, there was Strongbow and Mangers. But like locally in the area,
Okay.
in Michigan and in the States, what you would see, in the ciders over on the island were so much better.
Yes.
And my wife, the stuff that was available, the Chucks and the Peckers, sweet,
Super
sweet.
sweet.
What did he just call you?
And
I don't know.
A Chucky Pecker.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
A sweet,
Chucks
sweet
and
Chucky,
Pecker?
a sweet, sweet Chucky Pecker.
Yeah.
But we had when we had the real ciders over, when we went to Ireland, it was like, holy crap,
Yeah.
So then we had to really search them out when we got
Yes.
here. And then they started getting more popular. And then Blake's came on the scene. And my wife is super particular. And she's going to be super happy that I have some samples to bring home.
Yeah, you can definitely bring these home.
Because she's like, you better be bringing me some samples.
I
Have you seen
gotta
the Ken
take one home,
Burns,
too.
that Ken Burns Prohibition documentary? It's amazing.
Oh, just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like the first minute and a half, it talks about how the original fermented drink in America was cider. And
Yeah.
everyone came home, took a
Yeah.
ladle of cider when they got off the fields, and it was like 0.14%.
Yeah,
it was always very weak fermented cider.
Yeah, it was
But
safer
that's
than
what
water.
everybody drank. Yeah, because it was
Yeah.
fermented and it was
Right.
cleaner.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what America drank. And it was
the
really
whole-
light.
Right.
And then the boozes started and it got a little weird.
So
Yeah.
I don't know where you were going with like the sweetness and the apples.
But a lot of the Blake ciders are not. They're a little drier. Colleen likes
Sure.
them. The flannel mouth, in particular,
Yep.
is kind of our go-to.
It's OG, man. It's still one of my
I
favorites.
love a good flannel mouth.
We
Right.
enjoy that there's something Michigan based and then
But they're
not too sweet.
But the apple pie, That's pretty
Yeah.
good too.
Right. I mean,
well, the caramel apple is crazy
Caramel.
too.
Yeah, and we find a nice spectrum. I think most of our base is our base, and we brand everything off of that to keep it as consistent as possible. So there's going to be some like the apple pie or the caramel apple where you just find more perceived sweetness, and then some that just come off drier, more tart.
Saint
like
Cherry
we're
is my
drinking
jam.
right now. Oh,
Saint
yeah.
Cherry
Saint
is the
Cherry. Killer
best
Saint
thing.
Cherry.
That's my holiday drink of choice. I drink that all from Thanksgiving to Christmas.
The biggest difference
Well done.
between what you find in Europe and what you can find in the States right now is really comes down to the apples.
Okay.
What happened after Prohibition is they chopped down all the apple trees. They weren't using those apples for your grocer or your neighborhood fruit stand.
Right.
Those were for fermenting, and
Right.
a lot of those heritage apples, which you can still kind of find some, especially in northern Michigan, you can find wild apple trees that have some of that heritage back, but you just don't find those apples. They just kind of disappeared from the United States. So even I would say a majority of cideries in the United States are using dessert or table apples.
Right.
So you're going to get some sweetness from that anyway.
Yeah.
Where Europe they could still use those heritage apples, and depending on where the soil, the temperate zone, all that stuff, you're going to get different apples.
Yeah.
No matter what. I mean, you could plant a seed from a red delicious tree or red delicious apple, and it could turn into a golden delicious.
Right.
Oh.
It just all depends on where that's growing, what that soil does. And
Okay.
so
And
there's
that's the thought I had. If you guys end up, going into other states and growing orchards in other states and the apples there,
Yep.
you're going to get a different tasting
Yep.
apple, which it actually ultimately
it can. I
change the
think,
taste of the cider itself.
yeah, and I think the process that we use and our production guys, having one of those guys next to me in my ear would help me tell a lot more about that. But
Right.
these guys are really good at finding a way to make our stuff consistent, regardless of the variety of apples we're getting for our juice. So.
And we've used the term before. Those guys are mad scientists.
They really are. It's pretty impressive what they're able to do, especially when you're talking about us coming to them with an idea, and we don't even know if they can do it yet. And
Right.
then most of the time, I'd say 90% of the time, they're delivering.
So
which
you
is
said
great.
this is the flagship here,
Yeah.
the flannel mouth.
Yeah.
So and then Pretty Things are built off and around.
Pretty
this,
much,
kinda?
that actually has a little bit drier of a base.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, when you're looking at the brick scale, most of our products are landing at anywhere between, 5-6 grams of sugar, and then obviously, people do like to drink sweet or perceive sweet, so we are adding some back sweetening to that. But
So what I'm drinking out of this can we just picked up at the local grocery store on the way in.
Yeah.
And I always supporting you guys.
Yeah.
So when were these apples grown? Probably. How long is the process? What's your process and how long is
So
it?
usually we're using apples and juice from the previous year.
Okay.
And then going through the ferment process, we've gotten it down to roughly about 14 to 17 days. When we first started, it was taking anywhere from 25 to 30 days. Just experimenting with different yeasts, different temperatures, and now we get to the point where, as long as our juice is pretty consistent, we can get a finished product, or at least a finished product before we brand it. When we brand it, we talk about adding the flavors to it in about 13 to 14 days, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
when you're pushing out, we're going to do upwards of 40,000 plus barrels probably in 22. You got to do it pretty fast.
That's a lot.
So because we were thinking about, because
It is.
we do a lot of spirits and we do a lot of bourbon, and you're talking decades.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a
It better be, or it ain't going to make it.
it's a decade-long process.
Yeah.
So
At
I
least
was just
4 years
curious.
for bottled and bond. Come
So
on.
That's right.
yours is about a year.
Yeah, I mean, if
So-
you're really starting from
Yeah.
grown to press to going in the can,
Yeah.
I mean, really, it is about a year. So the funny thing is, it's the hardest time to get apples is right when harvest starts, because you got to wait for that harvest to finish, and then you got to get those apples from the suppliers afterwards. Which is
Anything
great.
else we need to know about the back end before we start tasting the magic that we brought in here today?
No, I mean,
All right.
like I said, I mean, I just I take pride in being able to talk about a product and give it to a consumer, knowing that we're doing it the right way, and hopefully we're finding the right flavors that they like, and they continue drinking it. So
We were at.
I've been tasting the this
I haven't
already, so I'm ready.
I haven't jumped in there yet.
Okay.
But we were at Sedona. There's a restaurant up
Sedona
there.
Tap House.
Yeah,
here
Big
in,
Beaver.
Big Beaver.
Yeah.
And they
Good
have like
supporter
some
of
of your
us.
specialty bottles. And they had one crazy, it was big, and it had the flip top on it.
El
and it was
Chapo.
El Chapo, but it was like the special,
Oh,
super high octane.
Yep.
Colleen and I split
Yeah.
one, and we're like, woo!
Yeah, that bad boy's like 9%. So.
Yeah, was it 9? Was it
Yeah.
11? Or do you have any that go up to 11?
So
Turn it up to 11.
really can't.
11.
What,
Yeah, when you
is
like,
it 9? Was it 9?
Nine
I
is
knew
a-
it was. I knew it was
yeah,
high octane.
Nine is about as high we'll go.
Okay.
When you start packaging anything over 9,
This raises some eyebrows.
Yeah. There's also some regulations that we're.
Oh,
we're
then
you
you
gotta
damn
call it malt
laws.
liquor.
yeah, we're regulated a little bit differently
You
than,
gotta call it
like
malt
craft
liquor
beer.
at that point. Don't
Yeah,
you?
right.
You do,
Right.
Because of packaging laws. It has nothing to do with
well,
anything. But
there's no malt in cider, but it just tax laws and you know
Yeah.
it gets more expensive to ship anything over 9%.
Wow,
And
okay.
believe it or
How
not,
much you ferment there, sir?
yeah,
Oh,
believe it or
quite a
not,
bit.
there's some states that we sell in, you still can't even sell a cider over 7%.
Okay.
Which is, you know, again, it's such a baby industry
Sure.
compared to craft beer that
Right.
there's just not the lobbying power there to kind of put us on a level playing field. Because
Okay.
believe me, when we can do 11% and it makes sense for us to do it, we're
Free
doing
the
it.
cider.
Yeah, we're doing
Free
it.
the cider.
That's it.
Free the cider.
All right, so this bad boy right here, this is something new.
Yeah,
the,
just announced the release.
the peach party.
Peach Party.
Tell me about it. It's peach and blackberry.
Peach and blackberry. So we have never had a peach in our lineup.
Okay.
You know, a good number of our competitors do. People have been asking us to make a peach for years. We tried a couple years ago. You know, pre-COVID, we had an idea to do it. When COVID hit, we kind of put all of our innovation on the back burner and said, you know what, let's just get through these year and a half, and then you know we'll really go hard with some releases. You know, in 2022, and we've been working on this for about a year. It's about our full process is every bit of 10 months to get from, you know, just concept, start tasting it, you know, packaging, you know, what we're going to call it, what it's going to look like. I mean, we did, you know, 4 or 5 different varieties of peach and some other fruit to go with it. And this is what came out. It's got a nice, you know, peach sweetness up front, little blackberry tartness on the back end, kind of finishes it nice and tart instead of, you know, powering your mouth with all that sweetness. So.
Because I have had a number of flannel mouths in my day, and
Sure.
it is a drier cider. But
Yeah.
this is it's not as dry as
Sure.
you would expect,
Right.
Because of that peach flavor that's going on in there.
Yep.
Because I've been sipping on this for a while, and I haven't got that dry feeling yet. It's very refreshing,
Sure.
if you will.
Yeah.
Right.
No, this is going to replace mimosas for the
nothing,
summer for me.
Nothing that we're going to really put out is going to be like punch you in the mouth dry.
Sure.
It's really going to be kind of the fruits and the flavors that we're kind of incorporating
Sure.
are going to kind of change your palate a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Most of our sugar content falls right around the same, no matter what we do.
And you had mentioned yeast earlier with all
Yeah.
the train,
Mhm.
but something that's really all of your products, are they gluten free?
Yeah. Yeah.
All of them?
Yeah, always. Cider is naturally gluten free.
See, that's nice. That's
so
that's
there's no wheat, no barley.
that's a
going
good
into-
sell for some people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because a lot of folks are health conscious. You know, they blow up if they eat a piece of flour. You know,
Well, that's for me.
This temple.
That's-
This
just-
temple.
yeah.
We
that's
don't want to.
just
You know, for a guy that loves craft beer and
Yeah.
Yeah.
and craft whiskey and liquor and cider. Cider's a huge go-to for me, regardless if I work for a cidery or not, because of that. I don't feel full
Right.
if I have 3 or 4. If I'm eating dinner, I know that I can have a couple drinks and I'm not just going to feel bloated. Which,
Right.
as we all
you
get
won't have to
older-
squeeze yourself into a
Right,
tracksuit.
right.
Is what it comes
Is that
down
the
to.
official term, cidery?
Yeah.
It's not brewery that makes cider. It's cidery.
No, it's a
I've never
cidery.
heard
It's
a
cidery.
cidery.
Interesting.
Again, we're
Yeah.
a baby industry, man. That people
Yeah,
are still
it's a new
learning
one.
what cider is and the history about it, and learning that you can drink it, and it's good. So
Blake's will always have a special place in my heart.
Why is
'cause
that?
I remember the exact day that I first had my first Blake's
Really?
cider, where I
Okay.
was and what was going on.
And what was and
My cousin had gotten me tickets to the Fits and the Tantrums show at the Fillmore,
Oh, yeah.
and I ran into a buddy of ours who was still married at the time, Mr. Greg Gnipp, who I just met.
Okay.
And I'm like, "What are we drinking?" He goes, "It's all Blake's cider." I'm like, "Blake's the apple orchard, the apple juice people, the cider people." I'm like,
apple juice.
Yeah, they make
That's
cider now.
Apple juice.
believe I still hear that.
And I go, "What?"
Even in Metro Detroit, people are like, "Wait, you guys are making cider?" I'm like,
And
"Where
this
have
is
you
like
been for
this
nine
had to
years?"
be 8 years ago.
That means that I'm not probably doing my job.
This was
no,
8
no,
years
no,
ago.
you're-
It's a
you
long
know.
time ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
Blake's
Greg
is
was
making
still married.
cider?
It was a long
Right.
time ago.
Yeah. That's how I could date it. That's how I
Right.
know. It was a Fits and the Tantrums show. And my
awesome.
cousin got me in who worked for the radio station. And
Never heard that story from
yeah.
you. Now
So that's why I first said Blake's. I'm like,
happy with that.
this is unbelievable. How can we get some of this?
Yeah,
Like,
who
well,
knew
it's
you-
just starting to get around now.
Right. Yeah. Who knew you'd meet me out of that? So,
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So, but again, Peach Party, we're really excited. New year-round brand for us too. This is not seasonal. This is going to be around, for as long as we think it's viable. So
It's awesome. So you guys are always doing something. You always have something in the wings, if you will.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
So you're always you're going to bring something out, and you actually brought something
am.
in with us with you tonight.
Little teaser.
Well, a little teaser. We can't say much about it, right?
So I'll try to, wiggle around this so my marketing department doesn't want to stab me in the face when I get back to work tomorrow.
Do
But
the best you can.
so we have a series.
Wait, I'm not done with the peach
Oh,
party.
okay, go ahead with the peach.
So
party.
I wanted to talk
Yeah.
about the taste
Yes.
and the labeling.
Yes.
I
Just leave
love
this
the
down
label.
here.
The label is just this. For people not watching on the camera, it's this great, like a spiral, like it's
Kind of a
pinwheel.
retro- yeah, kind of a retro-ish.
very 60s, kaleidoscopy
I'd
pinwheel.
say 70-ish,
very
like disco.
very very sick. I put it into the 60s.
Yes.
Kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
I had a light, a DJ light.
Okay.
that would create that pattern, but it's a very and that is exactly what it tastes like.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's when I took a sip. It's like synesthesia.
Yeah.
It was the sip was a taste of color. It was
Yeah.
a burst. It was
All
a
right.
burst of color for me.
I love
You're
it.
hired.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, we sit in a room and we talk about that. We
Yeah.
want.
No, it works.
We want
It works.
that billboard effect to know when somebody's going to the store and buying it that they're going to have a really good idea of what that's going to taste like in the can.
So for packaging, because you talked a little bit about packaging
Yep.
and the 9%, and with bourbons, I know the getting labels approved.
Yep.
Just a freaking nightmare. And over the pandemic, it was even 10 times the problem. Is it the same for ciders?
It depends on the state. To be
Okay.
honest with you,
All right.
We're not going to do anything outside of the box where we're going to get kind of clip for what the label looks like. It's more about just knowing what each state does and what's on time. Most of it's on, within it's all online. You go on, you submit your label, and usually it's approved within 24 to 48 hours. There was some delays during
Yeah,
COVID.
yeah.
I'm not quite sure how the liquor world works.
Yeah,
It
okay.
might be a little bit different.
Yeah.
But as far as us, as long as we stay under that 7% for most states, we're not. Gonna
Is there
have any
anything you
questions.
can or can't say on the label? You got to be careful with, saying,
Because you got peach and love instead
Yeah.
of peace and love because of the 60s.
Yeah, yeah.
throwback,
Right.
it's peach and love.
The hardest thing, honestly, is coming up with a name that somebody hasn't used already.
Ah.
It's really the hardest thing. And
yeah.
we've gone
Untapped
through,
will show you that.
well, and that's the problem. I mean, you go through it, and you gotta, there was actually a different
Simpsons
name for
did
this.
it.
Yeah,
Simpsons did it.
Right. There was a different name for this, and
Yeah.
we had to go back to the drawing board because we couldn't use that name. And
Wow.
so I mean, there's
It's
some
not like
nuance to
podcasts.
it,
You
know?
can call your podcast I could
Right.
call this a Joe Rogan show if I wanted to.
Right.
But
So
you
he
won't.
would probably come after.
He's
Right.
coming to town soon too.
Yeah.
He's coming to town.
We've
So-
had our shares of C&Ds, and we don't want to try to do that again.
Sure,
it's been a couple
sure,
years
sure.
since we've had to stop making something, so
All right.
let's stay away from that.
So, but again, the labeling on this one on the peach party, and then the
pops.
flavor
It does pop.
It's exactly
Love
what
to
it
hear
tastes
that.
like. It's a burst of when you taste it. It's a burst of color.
I am
for
going
me.
to play this for my marketing department the next time we have that meeting, because that's exactly what they're trying to do. And we do all of our designs in-house. We have a really, really talented team. And again, it takes, what are we going to put in the can? Can production make it? And then what does marketing do and our design team?
I have some
how do they
questions. I have
speak
some
that?
questions
So-
for you off mic, actually.
Sure.
Because I always considered, it was like a cider, like a fall drink, right?
Yep.
Because it's, you go to the apple cider in the fall. And, but I love a nice, cold, crisp cider in the summertime.
Yeah, it's
Doing some yard
it was a
yard.
real-
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
it was a real struggle, and I think just in our industry alone is to kind of break down that wall that cider is only a fall drink. And I
Right.
think what cideries are doing really well is putting flavors like a peach and a blackberry together, where you could drink that all year round, or you could
Without a
drink
doubt.
the one that we may be doing in the summer that's coming very soon. All summer long,
Right.
So I think that's where kind of riding the coattails of what the craft beer industry did, and kind of
Sure.
changing their flavors to fit some seasonality. Where you're making something that makes sense for that season, or that you can drink all year round. So.
So speaking of the one we have hidden under the table, so
Yeah.
you can't see the label if someone happens to be looking at the
Yeah.
TV. Just
Can we get into it now?
I'm
Okay.
sorry. I wasn't.
That's okay.
I just
No.
wanted to finish up on the peach.
No,
I'm
love
glad
it.
you said that, because again, I'm going to play that for my marketing team, because
All
I
right.
love that. So
And then, so you guys are indeed another flavor.
Yep.
It's got a summer vibe to it.
It does.
And it's
Picture, if you
thinking
will.
about the tropics a little
Yeah,
bit,
there
right?
you go. That's a good way to put
Picture,
it.
if you will.
I don't. We haven't tried it yet. And
Yeah.
is this apple based like the other?
All apple based. Everything
Okay.
we do is apple based for
All right.
sure. So
'Cause I was looking at the peach. I'm like, oh, is this fermented peaches? And it's like, no, it's cider, and then
Nope.
with peaches
Yeah.
and blackberries
like booze,
added
but
to.
better.
yeah, exactly. So we have a series that we launched this year that we started with our Paloma cider that is inspired by classic cocktails. This will be our second iteration of that series that will be launching late late April. That Whiskey in the Jar actually for Tracksuit 8 actually gets a week early, which is really cool.
Yeah,
Really?
we're gonna have
gonna-
this.
We're
We're
going
gonna
to talk
have
about
this.
that.
So
in a
if you
second.
want to, you got to come to Tracksuit if you want to get the sneak peek.
So I believe we actually announced it the week of Tracksuit. But
You
I-
announced the peach party like last week.
Yep.
Put an event online, which I'm going to.
Yep.
Michelle and I,
Yeah.
I think Mikey and
Oh,
Steph,
yeah.
and a bunch of us
yeah,
are all
April
going to go up
1st,
there.
if you guys want to go out to the farm.
their-
And,
So Matt, what do
check
you
it
think when
out.
you think tropical? What do you think? What flavoring do you pops to mind for you?
Pineapple.
Pineapple.
Pineapple pops for me like right away when
I
think
usually
summertime
think
and
it's like it's
beaches
going to
and-
be a coconut in it. As usually
Okay.
I'm calling a coconut
All right.
for a tropical drink, and then when this said tropical on it, and now I'm getting a little. Am I getting
does
coconut?
taste. It tastes
You
like
might
my
be.
last vacation
All right.
to
Yeah, there you
Mexico
go.
to the beach.
So-
Yeah.
I mean, you could think summer cocktail. What's a traditional summer cocktail? Or when you go to the beach in Florida, I think you guys can make your own
Yeah.
judgments from there. So,
Absolutely.
but we're very excited about this one.
Wow.
This whole series in general. The other cool thing about ciders, you can really play with them. You can create and be your own bartender at home. You know, we have restaurants and bars that do it for us. You know, behind the bar, but being able to kind of create something at home and pour it over ice, add a little bit of liquor to it, match it up with that actual cocktail itself. Just gives some people some personal innovation with some of our drinks
And people like the carbonation sometimes in their drink.
Right.
So,
I mean, it could get you started pretty good because you're talking a 6.5, 6.9% cider
it just
plus some liquor. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it'll
because you had a lot of hard drinks like your Manhattans. There's no carbonation. There's no bubbles,
Right.
but
Sure.
this has that element of bubbles.
yeah,
to
a little
it, right?
topper with
Yeah.
a little topper with some cider. I mean, can shake up.
So the apple, the caramel apple, Tony at the Wine Garden bought
Oh, yeah.
just a crap
Oh, yeah.
ton. Tony's,
Oh, yeah.
well, that's where we did.
I know
the-
Big Tony.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
for sure, man.
So-
everybody knows that.
Everybody knows
Yeah,
Big
everybody
Tony.
knows Big
Everybody-
Tony.
So he bought up just a crap ton of the caramel
sure did.
apple, and I picked up like 2 extra 6-packs
Mm-hmm.
from him to have because there were recipes, different cocktails you can
Yep.
make. Mixes with the caramel apple, so I picked
Yeah.
them up because I was like enjoying them. I just I really enjoyed mixing it up and using that as a part of the cocktail in the
We'll
biz.
move this way over
Oh,
here.
right
but
on.
This whole series, the Bar Cart series, has it on our packaging, which is really cool.
Okay, so it's the you get a little bar cart.
Okay, I was
on
allowed to
there.
say bar cart series. I didn't know.
It looks
Very
just
good.
like our bar.
Mike, can I
it
say
looks just
bar
like our
cart
bar
series?
cart.
It does,
yeah.
yeah.
Here in the man cave. I love
So
it.
again, that was kind of the whole idea behind the series, and it's
How many are going to be in the
so
series?
we'll do this one for the summer, and
Okay.
then there'll be one more new one that comes out for the fall, and
Okay.
it'll kind of go through the winter for us.
All right.
So,
And
we'll
then you
come
maybe
back.
next year
And then
do
we'll-
spring
well,
something new?
and
or-
we're not sure. I
or-
mean, if we like the way that these all kind of move through the market, and if people appreciate them, we'll probably keep this series at least stagnant for one more year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's the first year for this bar cart. We were really, sometimes sitting in that room and coming up with innovation is a lot harder than it thinks.
Sure.
A lot harder than you think.
Yeah.
And this was just kind of a back and forth, and one of our people in the room said bar cart, and we're like, great idea. Let's
Yeah.
make some cocktail inspired ciders. So
Yeah.
especially
like
with
that.
the popularity of these ready to drink cocktails that you see. Not something that we can do yet, just licensing wise, and
Yeah.
it's something that maybe we do in the future. But for now, we can make you guys ciders that taste like cocktails, which is pretty cool.
This is-
I'm enjoying it. So, where can people like the caramel apple recipes and all about Blake's? Where can people find
Website,
out? Where is that?
Blake'sHardCider.com.
Blake's Hard Cider.
Does it list every state that you guys are in as well?
So
or-
there's actually a cider finder on our website where you can actually click right at the top. It says cider finder. You can punch in your zip code, and it will show you, within however many miles you search that. Where
Technology
you can find Blake's
today.
Yeah, right?
You can search specific brands, so you could specifically search Peach Party.
Because
when
you
it
had
lands.
said like each state's got a different alcohol. You can't
Yeah, but anything we make now, you can
all-
sell.
all right, it's
Yeah,
all
we sell all the
set.
way across. Yeah, for sure.
So, Mike, I want to thank you for
Thank you guys.
being here, and thank you for sponsoring Tracksuit
Yeah.
8
Yeah.
because
Tracksuit
August
8
happened to Whiskey in the Jar. You guys do the whiskey folks would do at least like 2 fundraisers a year when the world is in a normal place. Magnum and Tracksuit. So Tracksuit's coming up. So people listen whenever, wherever, however. So there's always an opportunity to get involved and support. But what does Tracksuit support this year?
So this is our 8th, should be our 10th, but we started this tracksuit party 10 years ago.
Like
it
the
literally
caveat.
was, it literally was started with a Facebook joke. A buddy of ours, Conrad, said, "I don't know why my sister thought a velour tracksuit would be a good Christmas present." And I said, "Wear it to the bar tonight, and I'll wear one too." And Mikey said, "I'll wear one too." And just kind of saw if any of us showed up, and the 3 of us showed up in these tracksuits. And we took a bunch of pictures, like with our arms folded, and then in these, and we put it on Facebook. And was like, "This is a great idea." And we're like, "Guys, we can do something with this."
Yeah, it's really bloody comfortable.
And it's one of the most comfortable nights in Hamtramck. At least it was until we came up with Magnum, which is short shorts and a Hawaiian shirt. That's even more comfortable. But for the first 3-4 years, we would flip around the charities. We'd do some different local stuff. But in the years since, I have become a member of the board of directors of the Detroit Friendship House, which is the food pantry in Hamtramck.
Okay.
Only serves a 48212 Hamtramck area code.
In the
Zip
212.
code. So it's near and dear to my heart.
Sure.
Hunger doesn't know any race, color, religion,
Right.
and so it's originally a Baptist charity, but it serves everyone in the community. It's pretty fascinating. They do hello meals and everything. Their outreach is just unbelievable.
Right.
So I'm on the board of that charity, and Tracksuits just become the Friendship House event. It's their event each year. Besides, we do a flowing event for them too. And then the Magnum party, which we do in the summer, is Mikey's on the board of directors of the Hero Foundation.
Yes.
And does sponsors families that have cancer.
Right.
Pays for their holidays and stuff. I didn't know it was a photo shoot. I didn't have my hair ready.
I know.
Or
You're
my
sporting
makeup
the-
guys.
You're
Pay
sporting
no
the
mind.
Blakes,
Pay
man.
no mind
My
to the man
makeup
behind
guys.
the camera.
Yeah,
Keep
my
going.
makeup guys weren't here today. But so we raffle off we had like $2,000 of the gift cards alone at the last tracksuit party. So we do really well. We have incredibly generous friends.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky to have people like Mike and Blake's to come on board, and then we can bring them to places like this so they can talk about their amazing products. So we get a benefit, they get the benefit. And then I get to spend more time with Didio, which is always great.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, like, the first time they asked me for Magnum, and I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, this sounds like a really good time, and I didn't know what to expect because it's whiskey in the jar. It's this, tiny
8 bar stools and a pool
tiny
table.
little dive in Hamtramck. It's still one of my favorite places, but then I go and I'm like, oh, this is like a production, and then I'm like,
take all the furniture
how much
out,
did you
we decorate the whole
Right.
place.
How much did we
Absolutely.
raise after this? And they're like, oh yeah, it was close to like $4,000 or $5,000. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, sign me up each time for sure.
Yeah.
And $5,000 in a bar that has a capacity of 45 legally,
Right.
Not counting the patio,
Right.
is pretty great. And we've had support of our friends who are big name DJs that come and do this stuff, but they do it for free. It's that we had no sponsors the first 3-4 years, and then people were like, "This is a thing."
Yeah.
And then a liquor rep would come in and say, "You sure you don't want some stuff?" And then if someone from Fago happened to be there, and goes, "We'll give you all the Fago you want from now on
Hey.
for every party you do." So every Magnum and tracksuit, we get all this Fago.
Yep.
Being a bartender for 15 years, I have no shortage of low-life friends, and so they all come forward with gift certificates to their bars and their places that are opening. Schrodex has been wonderful. We try not to ask the same people over and over again, and then if we
Right.
don't ask them, they get mad at us
I would get
for
mad.
not asking them to be a part of it. So like, Rodney Schrodex, like, how come we haven't been asked? I'm like, okay, I'll take 10 $5 gift cards. And,
Right.
and then we're doing the same to our friends that own the Lexington bar that just opened up a couple years ago. It's a nice craft cocktail bar.
yeah.
They're like, we're going to give you 5 $10 gift cards. They're like, we'll give you a $50 gift card. I'm like, no, give me 5 $10 ones. Let's spread the love. Let's bring people into your place. And so we turned it into a way to support our friends in the bar business as well as raise this money.
Yeah.
And people are throwing gift cards at us that what are the percentages of gift cards that actually get used?
Right.
Right.
So
knows?
we used to feel guilty asking for all these things. People are like, no, goddamn, we printed all these things. Take them, use them.
It doesn't hurt that August and Conrad and Mikey are like 3 of the most wonderful humans. Having a great time together, so.
Yeah.
Like
Could
people
not
just
have said
kind
that better myself.
Well, I mean,
honestly.
you
They're
just kind
giving
of want to
guys.
be part of what they're doing because they're so passionate about it,
Yeah.
and when that actually happens, it's a really good time. So it's like, oh, all right, that sounds great. So-
Yeah. We actually threw the first one just to have fun and make some money behind the bar, and we realized that when it had legs, we had to make it into a fundraiser.
right.
Right? There's no reason not to. I mean, let's do something here for that. I think that first one gave to the Hamtramck Labor Day Festival or the Beautification Commission, and then we're like, we just gave the Beautification Commission with its annual budget of $600, $1,500. I think they're gonna want us back, right?
Yeah.
So.
So people can find out about this and the subsequent ones at
That's Whiskey in the Jar in Hamtramck on the Book of Faces. There's
Right.
also an Instagram account called Magsuit.
Magsuit.
So it's Magnum and tracksuit stuff.
Okay.
This year it's April 15th. Tracksuit is always on Good Friday. We follow the Catholic Jesus math on this one.
Okay.
I don't know why. It just sort of happened that way. So this one moves around that way.
All right, fair enough.
So it's always on Good Friday.
All right.
And then the Magnum PI party is always the weekend after the damn elections because in my day job I am the city clerk of
'cause
Clawson
Sure.
and I have to run elections.
Right.
Yeah.
So that Tuesday is an election. We made the mistake of scheduling it the Friday before the election once, and that was a nightmare for me.
Yeah.
So it's now the first Friday after the election day in August every year. So that moves around a little bit. First Friday after the first Tuesday, I guess is how we'll call that one.
First
All right.
Friday after the last.
And this year we
I
have.
was lost too.
We finally have a Ferrari 308 GTI that's coming to
Oh, my
Magnum this year.
goodness.
My buddy's got one, and he's going to bring it, and I got it all lined up. It's there.
Love
See,
it.
here's,
All right.
here's what's happening. I'm going to beg him to be the sponsor again for that, which
yeah.
is really funny. So just
love
mark
it.
it down.
Yeah. So do we all get a ride? It's joyrides in
That's
the.
one of the through the
Yeah,
Hamtramck.
yeah.
Hamtramck
You got to pay. You got to pay for a ride.
That's the whole point.
Oh,
the whole
yeah,
point.
there you go.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Can we
rides and
just-
pictures.
Yeah.
Can we just
That's great.
open her up going down Joseph Campo? Can we just
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that one?
Yeah, you can maybe shift gears once,
Right.
maybe get it in the gear, you just
Right.
idle it. So
All right. So the whiskeyinthejar.com, blakeshardcider.com.
Blake's Hard Cider Co. That's bad that I don't know that. off
Blake's
the
Hard
top of my-
Cider.
on
If you
here.
You just
Google
type in Blake's Hard Cider, Michigan.
Yeah,
and it'll come right up.
blakeshardcider.com.
Yeah.
blakeshardcider.com. And all right, so there you go. So like, subscribe, leave a comment. It's the Man Cave Happy Hour. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank
you very
for
much.
being with us.
Thank you.
And
Thanks for having us.
we'll
Are we
do it
kick-
again just when we can show the label on that tropical
Yeah,
madness
absolutely.
down there.
I'm having
which is
another
not
peach
what
party
it's-
right now.
Yeah.
And
We're thinking-
we'll do that.
Yeah.
And any other shenanigans, please, anytime. You're always
Fill
welcome.
me up,
I'd
Augie.
love for sure. So
All right, everybody. Till next time. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Clink,
Cheers.
clink.
Click. Click.